So the Pixel 7 Pro is about 9 months old, and I've been super guilty of this. And I kind of mentioned this if you saw my S23 Ultra follow up review, where I don't give quite enough follow up in terms of some of these devices. I just kind of get caught in the day to day of just using them rather than really reporting on, what my experience is. So we're gonna change that up. We're gonna talk Pixel 7 Pro. I'm gonna kind of do this in the same way that I did the S23 Ultra. We're gonna talk about a few key areas and how it's held up. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is the Pixel 7 Pro 9 months later. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. And first thing, we're gonna go ahead and talk hardware. Now, hardware perspective, there's honestly not a whole lot that I really want to or need to really call out. Let me take off the later case there. I still think Google makes some amazing hardware when it comes to smartphones. They finally kind of settled on this like kind of camera visor. And in my opinion, it's definitely the kind of Pixel theme going forward. So like when you see a device with a camera bar, you're looking at a Pixel. So I really like that they have that identity and they kind of stand out in that regard. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the actual design itself through and through is clearly Google. It's clearly Pixel. The one thing I will say in terms of like the build itself, and it's not so much that it's bad build quality, I just wish that it felt a little bit more dense. The Pixel 6 Pro felt really, really light, like almost like you were holding something without a battery. And I know for some people that's perfect. They don't want a device to feel weighted. I like my devices to have weight, like to feel substantial in the hand. And it's not that the Pixel 7 Pro doesn't, it just doesn't feel quite as weighted as like a 14 Pro Max or an S23 Ultra. And again, that is totally subjective. It could just be me, but I prefer that more weighted feel. So not so much a knock. I don't want Google to go throw in random components that don't matter to make a thicker device or a heavier device, but just saying, like, I like the overall more dense feel. It doesn't feel hollow, which is good, but it also doesn't feel quite as dense. So just something I wanted to call out. In terms of buttons, I know the buttons get a lot of flack. People don't like the power rocker being on the top, volume being on the bottom. In all honesty, I've been using a Pixel pretty much primarily in my rotation since the Pixel 6 came out. And even a little bit before that, I picked up a Pixel 5 and a Pixel 4 XL. So I'm kind of used to it. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. The display on point. I do love the display on the Pixel 7 Pro. Taking it over to the back, I know a lot of people have been also talking about like the camera bar doesn't quite hold up. I'm trying to get that in the light so y'all can see what mine looks like. I see a lot of like dirt and grime there. It might be like one little scratch there right next to the telephoto. Let me see if that's a scratch or if that's just dirt. Okay. Now let's put it up. Yeah, so it might just be dirt. So it does get fingerprinty and kind of smudgy really easier, but I haven't had any real issues with mine scratching or anything like that. And I use quite a few different cases. Some of my cases leave the camera bar visible. The other cases, like you see here with my later case, it actually covers it. So like I said, I haven't had as many issues with the camera bar scratching or anything like that. It just hasn't happened in my unit, but it is, happening to other people. I think that that's honestly all I wanted to talk about in terms of the hardware. I know fingerprint sensor also has been like some contention there. It is still like a half step a little bit, slower than ultrasonic or whatever. We are rumored to be getting not only an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor with the 8 Pro, but also a completely flat display. Me personally, I'm kind of torn on it. I'm someone who likes the aesthetic of a curved display, and I say like this curved display doesn't feel quite as drastic as what we've seen like in the past from other smartphone manufacturers. So for me personally, man, like I'm fine with the curve that's like this. Like I'm totally okay with that. But flat panels is going to be easier for like accessory manufacturers. Good grief, can't talk. It's going to be easier for accessory manufacturers to make like screen protectors and different things like that for the device. So the more accessories we get for the Pixel, the better. So totally cool with that. Like I said, display, absolutely no issues whatsoever. You can see the performance is buttery smooth, even using that Tensor G2. And we'll kind of go ahead and pivot and start talking a little bit about software and performance. So software still, in my opinion, remains the Pixel strength. I still agree with the sentiment that Pixel smartphones are the smartest smartphones on the planet, in my opinion. They may not be the most powerful, they may not have all the latest specifications and things like that, but in terms of actual smarts, there's no device that's smarter than it. From things like getting at a glance little screen previews when somebody rings my Nest doorbell, to setting a timer on my Nest Hub in my kitchen and it automatically also show on my smartphone on the always on display and on the at a glance widget at the top. The Pixel is just a really smart device, and there comes to be things that I'm just used to now that is hard for me to leave whenever I go to a different smartphone. Things like call screen, the faster voice dictation, all of that stuff. So, like I said, pretty much people choose Pixels for the speed, for the fluidity, for the software. Talking a little bit more about speed and fluidity, I don't really need to make too many call outs. You can kind of see I had a little bit of a weird animation thing running the Android 14 beta. That's to be expected. But yeah, animations buttery smooth as you're moving throughout the operating system, like always. So absolutely no issues there. Pixels are known for their speed and fluidity. Nothing that I can really call out there. In terms of performance, I would say performance is fine. In general day-to-day performance, I don't have any issues. I play emulators on here. I don't have any issues. The one area, and I wouldn't say that this is really a performance issue, it's more so just the heat. Most Pixel users that I talk to, as I go ahead and put my case back on, they have not so much overheating, because there's a difference, and I kind of want to make that distinction really quick on a tangent. There's a difference between a device being hot and a device overheating. Device being hot, I have a gaming laptop that when I run a particular game or I'm doing anything intensive, it heats up and I'm hearing the fans. That's just your system running hot. Computers do that. It's like computers naturally do that. If I push my M1 MacBook Air that I originally had too hard, it'll start to run a little bit warm. So that's whatever. As long as it doesn't impede functionality, you're fine. Now, overheating, on the other hand, is where you start to see like those overheating warnings, like, can't record video, can't use the flash, phone is shutting down due to being hot, will power back on when it's not hot anymore. Things like that are actually overheating. My Pixel 7 Pro, regardless of the weather or the temperature outside, does not overheat. The only thing that I've seen mines do specifically is the refresh rate will throttle. So like it'll go from 120 hertz to being 60 hertz until the device cools down. And in order for that to happen, I have to be like outside, 95-degree weather. It's humid here in Florida. I'm out at Disney, so there's not a lot of shade because there's so many people. Those are the situations where I mainly see that. And honestly, in that situation, there's only one phone I have that doesn't show any symptoms of overheating, and it's the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 in the S23 Ultra. So just kind of want to make that little clear distinction. Yes, Tensor based phones are known to run warmer, run hot because of Samsung's fabrication methods. Hopefully that'll be resolved with Tensor 3 with them moving to Samsung's 4 nanometer process. It is supposed to be improved. The processor itself is also supposed to have more updated modern cores, which should help with efficiency as well. If that doesn't resolve it, then unfortunately we do gotta wait until 2025 when Google is rumored to be moving 100% to TSMC, and then that'll kind of nullify a lot of those concerns. So kind of sucky, but it is what it is. It's kind of just the nature of the beast currently. Other than that, in terms of performance, no issues whatsoever, and we'll kind of use that to pivot into battery life. So battery life with the Pixel 7 Pro is honestly pretty solid. I would say it's between solid and above average. I wouldn't say it's quite above average. That's where the S23 Ultra sits. I do get better battery life on that device, but I will say that this battery life is not just meh or mixed. Like, it's honestly been pretty good. I've been able to take it off the charger at 8 or 9 in the morning and not have to put it back on until about 12 or 13 hours later. Screen on time usually reflects to, I would say, anywhere between like 6.5 to 7.5 hours of screen on time. Whereas with the Galaxy, I'm getting between 7.5 and 8.5. So I would say about a solid hour difference between the two in my usage. So yeah, definitely not bad at all. Android 14 is still kind of learning, the usage, things are still caching. I literally just updated it, I want to say yesterday. So I'm not expecting to see a lot of the battery improvements that some other creators have mentioned on like their Pixel Folds or on their Pixel 7 Pros moving to Android 14. So I'll keep you guys updated on that and make sure that y'all are kept, aware of what's going on there. But overall, solid battery performer. I don't really have too many issues. I want to go ahead and hit the last topic, and that is going to be the cameras, the cameras, the cameras. If there's any reason that people are buying Pixels, one is software, the second is the cameras. And you can always tell when you have a really good smartphone camera where you take photos and you have average consumers, people who don't follow smartphones whatsoever, and they're like, yo, that's a really good picture. I need that phone. And that's kind of the boat that both my dad and my mom were in. My dad currently owns a Pixel 6. We got him that last year. And he was having issues with the shutter delay and motion blur on his Samsung. My mom still is, and she's going to be grabbing a Pixel. So I can kind of say that that's some of the best praise I can give. And in all honesty, for point and shoot shots, which is what I take, I don't use pro mode. I don't try to go into a bunch of different modes. I just pull the camera out, take a shot, and put it away. I don't want to miss too much of the moment being behind a viewfinder. And what I'll say to that is, if there's one phone that I would trust consistently, that I would say is the best in terms of point and shoot, Pixel 7 Pro, hands down. There's a Twitter thread from a good friend of mine. I'll link him down in the description. He does a ton of blind camera comparisons, and any comparison that I've ever seen the Pixel in, on his comparisons, Pixel has won hands down, and that's with no bias attached. You're just choosing which photo looks the best to you. There's a reason that Pixel is the point and shoot king. So that's kind of my MO on the cameras. Now, it's not without its faults. I will say video definitely still needs some improvements. Overall, video is good. The one thing that really irks me about it, though, is the noise. So I can be in like a bright, normal condition, and if there's any like darkness in the video at all, you're gonna get some noise. And I don't understand why. It's kind of weird. Zona Tech last year with the Pixel 7 Pro, he even took some Pixel 7 Pro video, put it in Final Cut, and added a noise reduction filter to it, and the video was phenomenal. It was top notch. It was phenomenal. So like I said, I'm honestly not sure what Google needs to do in that regard, but I would like to see them continue to improve their video. And they have every single year. Every single year since the Pixel 6, they've improved video. Pixel 6 took video to another level for Pixels. Pixel 7 Pro took it to an even higher level. I'm expecting Pixel 8 Pro to continue that trend as well. So video, like I said, it still seems to be like the weakest part of the Pixel camera experience. But overall, man, it's still super solid for what you're getting, 100%. But that's kind of where, I want to go ahead and kind of put a pin in it, just to kind of let you guys know what's been going on. In all honesty, this is the phone that I've used the most in terms of all the smartphones that I have. I keep coming back to it because I love the Pixel software experience. It has character. Doesn't have the best of everything. It kind of reminds me of why I fell in love with iOS. It doesn't have all the specs, it doesn't have all the features, but it has the character. It has the character. And I know it's something that's not quantifiable. But I love the Pixel experience, man. What can I say? So that's kind of where I'll leave this one here, man. It's obviously, like I said, the device that's been in my pocket as my primary daily driver the most. But I want to hear from you all. If you own any Pixel, doesn't have to be the 7 Pro, how are you liking it? Are you experiencing a ton of issues? Are you looking to make the switch to another manufacturer? Are you looking at the Pixel Fold? Are you excited for Pixel 8 Pro? Anything. Let's talk Pixel down in the comment section below. But as always, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for the support. This is Ike's Tech Talk. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.